From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Montana This Morning. It is Thursday, July 14th. We begin this morning following President Joe Biden. He is on a controversial trip to the Middle East. We want to tell you about that. Today, he's in Israel. The country is giving him the Israeli Medal of Honor, and he'll attend the opening ceremonies of the Maccabee Games. This is an Olympic-style competition between Jewish athletes from around the globe. Now, of course, none of that is controversial, but the president is set to visit Saudi Arabia tomorrow. And as reporter Joe St. George learns, the critics are saying that's a bad idea.
Most of the time, you probably don't think much about street signs. They're often named after states or places. Sometimes it's just a letter. But every now and then a street sign catches your attention, like the decision in Washington recently to name this street right in front of the Saudi Arabia embassy, Jamal Khashoggi Way. Khashoggi was a Washington Post columnist who wrote critically of Saudi Arabia's government. He was murdered in 2018, and even though Saudi Arabia denies ordering the killing, last year a U.S. intelligence assessment concluded the country's leaders were directly involved. Unique street signs in front of embassies is just one example of how complicated the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia has become and how controversial President Biden's visit there is to so many.
I feel, to be honest, betrayed.
Abdullah Aloda helped reveal that new street sign recently.
Jamal Khashoggi was a friend.
But he is better known as being one of the biggest critics of Saudi Arabia in the United States. He was born in Saudi Arabia, and his father is currently imprisoned there for speaking out on Twitter.
Almost 13 million followers.
Abdullah says President Biden campaigned on making the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia a, quote, pariah for human rights violations, which include public executions and little to no free speech. This visit violates that promise, he says. Abdullah does hope, though, President Biden accomplishes something by going to Saudi Arabia. He gets it. Saudi Arabia produces a lot of the world's oil, but this visit must address more than just gas prices.
At least there should be clear human rights concessions from the Saudi government.
President Biden, for his part, knows his visit is controversial. It's why he wrote this Washington Post column. I know that there are many who disagree with my decision to travel to Saudi Arabia, going on to say, as president, it is my job to keep our country strong and secure, and to do these things, we have to engage directly with countries that can impact those outcomes. Saudi Arabia is one of them. Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan.
We have to work on increasing the prospect for peace in the region.
As for Abdullah,
I myself have been threatened many times.
He says at the very least he hopes more people are now understanding just how controversial his native country is and why President Biden's visit is no ordinary trip.
Those who killed our founder and friend Jamal Khashoggi and wanted to silence him will never prevail.
In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, and Miller, he is joining us now with a look at this forecast on Thursday. Good morning.
Well, good morning, and good morning, everyone. A little bit cooler today.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then we're going to get hot again.
You always do that. You always say like the
down,
good news and then, oh, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, well, you know, yesterday it got hot. We called a high of 100, and then exactly what we got. Boom, right there. Boom. There you go. Good 13 degrees above the norm. Overnight low just a little bit warmer than normal. We did have a top gust of 43 at the airport yesterday. We did have some storms roll through. We'll tell you more about that in just a bit. A little bit of rain measured for the month. We're at 0.26 inches, rather, 9.67 inches for the year. So still behind for the month, still a little bit ahead, pacing ahead for the year. And we do have the possibility of more rain later today. It's not going to be widespread, more isolated in nature. But this morning, a gorgeous start here in Yellowstone County. Great shot there from the Stockman Bank weather cam. Already at 70 right now at the airport. Winds out of the southwest at about 18 miles an hour. Temperatures anywhere from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and some 70s already this morning. On our way to highs today in the 80s and 90s. And you'll notice as we go into the afternoon, we start seeing more of those cells pop up. Talk about that coming up here in just a bit.
All right. Thanks a lot, Miller. Well, the summertime and that warm weather, it's a time when folks want to get out and about and enjoy the parks in our cities, especially those maybe with splash parks. Well, we have some great news, improvements and upgrades. They are coming to Castle Rock Park in the Heights. Construction gets underway next month. And as Q2's Alina Howder found out, Billings families, they are pretty excited about this.
Castle Rock Park was bustling Wednesday as families came out to the city's first day of triple-digit heat.
I like it a lot because there's water and it's nice to do during a hot day.
And the park is about to get a lot busier as City Council has approved a bid for a new playground and other improvements.
Castle Rock Park has been in development for more than 40 years. There was previously a playground, it was removed.
Jennifer Owen has been working on getting the park developed since she was the chair of the Heights Task Force before she was elected as a District 2 councilwoman. But a new playground is only phase 1 of the project.
The remainder of the playground, when fully built out, will include some climbing boulders, some adult exercise equipment, and some pieces to really make that multi-generational.
Additional accessibility equipment will be installed. Owen says council members are also discussing the possibility of pavilions so parkgoers can gather.
We have talked about a pump track and a skate park kind of in that same area down by the pond so that teenagers feel like there's a place for them to enjoy the park as well.
And the tragic death of 15-year-old Cohen Parker last January in the parking lot across the park also influenced the master plan. Owen and others also hope a community center will be built.
One of the reasons that community center is really important is it does put light into the park. It activates it into the evening.
Lots of changes coming soon, and parents like Sarah Willis can't wait.
Sometimes the Heights gets a bad rap, like as far as safety, and I think it will just help brighten up the neighborhood at least.
Owen hopes the nearly $600,000 park will be completed by the beginning of October.
I can't wait until that is here.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
A Billings sex trafficker is now off the streets, now sentenced to almost 27 years in prison and a lifetime of supervised release. Back in January, William Newkirk pleaded guilty to numerous charges for violently forcing multiple women and minors into prostitution. His crime stretched across an entire decade. Prosecutors say he also played a role in the shooting death of 20-year-old Kayona Gonzalez when another one of his victims tried to defend herself during a group beating outside a mobile home on Laurel Road. Now, that was back in 2019. In other news, Montana is flush with cash. State lawmakers are predicting a massive budget surplus when the legislative session begins. But no surprise here, Democrats and Republicans, well, they disagree on what exactly to do with that extra money. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more.
With state tax revenues on the rise and leaders predicting a big budget surplus for the next year, lawmakers are already starting the debate on how that money should be used.
There is plenty of grain in the grain bin, and it's time to give that grain back to the people who put it there in the first place.
At the state capitol Wednesday, Democratic lawmakers said they're expecting a $1.7 billion general fund balance when the next legislature starts work on the budget, and they laid out a plan for spending $1 billion of that. Much of it would go toward addressing the costs of housing, including investments in building affordable homes, a one-time property tax refund for working Montanans, and keeping property taxes below a set percentage of families' income. They also propose grants and pay increases to expand access to childcare and community mental health treatment.
We need to do it now. We need to start working on these policies. And our vision is that we invest in our communities and we put the money that's sitting in the bank idle right now to work for our constituents and for our communities and for our economy.
Democrats are currently the minority in the legislature, and several of these proposals are based on ideas they've offered unsuccessfully in previous sessions. Majority Republicans are also preparing for a surplus of well over $1 billion. GOP leaders say it's a sign the policies they've implemented have been working.
We, as Republicans, know that our citizens trust us to manage our economy.
Republicans say they'll make tax relief a priority when considering how to use the surplus. That could include some form of property tax help.
Certainly, we hear from our constituents every day regarding taxing and the hardships that they endure because of the high taxes. So we'll be discussing tax relief in multiple forms.
In June, the Legislative Fiscal Division told lawmakers the state has seen extremely strong revenue growth in the last 2 years, but they're projecting revenue will decrease in 2023. Legislative elections are now less than 4 months away, and the start of the 2023 legislative session will be in less than 6 months. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Well, this next story we want to show you this morning, Southwest Virginia residents, they're joining Montanans trying to rebuild after catastrophic flooding. This looks familiar. Dozens of people are unaccounted for and more than 100 homes are washing away in heavy rainfall. Search and rescue operations are now officially underway. The U.S. House is preparing to pass 2 abortion protection bills today. One would codify the right to an abortion into federal law. The other would ban states from interfering with a woman's right to travel to get the procedure. There's no chance the bills pass the Senate, but yesterday, Democrats on the Health Committee said they would continue fighting to protect women's rights. New data this morning shows fewer people are buying homes. Mortgage applications fell 4% last week. That's 18% lower than this time last year. Real estate experts say even though mortgage rates held steady last week, they continue to influence buyers. Now, right now, the average mortgage rate for a 30-year fixed loan is sitting at 5.74%. Well, we do have the answer to what exactly this was. Now, a lot of you sent us pictures and videos of these very strange lights. They were shooting across the night sky. Q2's Haley Monaco decided to get to the bottom of this galactic mystery.
Was it a shooting star? What about a comet? If you were outside last night and looked up, you may have witnessed quite the spectacle. Multiple lights shooting across the night sky Tuesday caught the attention of many Montana residents.
It was absolutely mesmerizing. It was kind of show-stopping. It was that neat.
As show-stopping as it was to witness, there was one question many asked after these lights in the sky stopped them in their tracks.
Is that a comet? I'd never seen like a comet before in real life, so I'm like, I want to get a closer look at this.
It was more of an awe moment than scared, I suppose. We just wanted to know what it was.
Ryan Hanaho, the executive director of the Montana Learning Center, says their meteor detection system detected a fuel tank of a Russian rocket entering the atmosphere at 10:08 Tuesday night.
With the friction and the speed and how it was traveling, it broke up. And what we saw in the sky was that, breaking up and then streaking across the sky.
A sight to see, and one that isn't seen often, at least here in Montana.
It's just a little piece of space junk coming back in. Well, more than a little piece.
Not a shooting star, not a comet or a meteor, just a piece of space junk that gave Montanans a beautiful show.
To actually hear it could have been a Russian satellite or something that was blowing up, that makes sense for what I was seeing, because it was alarming. It wasn't a normal thing that you see in the night sky.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
All right, I love that. So it was a mystery just yesterday on the news. If you were watching yesterday, now solved. Thanks a lot to Q2's Haley Monaco. Well, if you saw that fuel tank streaking across the sky, you may have felt the need to report it to the government. Well, we have good news. You can do that now, almost. House lawmakers are moving forward with a measure to make it easier to share information about UFOs. The amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act would create a secure system for immediate sharing of information with certain scientists and government personnel. The full bill is yet to pass and will need Senate approval.